Getting back to this, the feasibility and the, is there any thought of, would the feasibility work eventually include Crocker? And if that was correct, then what about the points that were made in support of the citizen request to do that work a little bit earlier?
So that was one of the three questions, I think, was would the MSBA fund the Crocker Farm facility study as part of the process? So I checked with the superintendent, and he was very clear that the MSBA won't make a definitive response or definitive answer on that until we're in the feasibility study. So I don't think we're going to get a definitive answer on that, whether they would fund anything at Crocker Farm until we're in the actual pipeline with that.
I guess a related question is, if we funded something early, started working on it as we did with Fort River, that's not something that they would consider reimbursement for, or would it be something they would consider reimbursement for?
They don't get definitive answers on those things if they're in the pipeline. So I don't think we spent the money before we're in the process. I don't think they would give us reimbursement for it. The question is whether anything from that study could be used to maybe make the process go faster or less expensive. And that I don't know either, but I don't think they reimburse for anything prior to being accepted. They sure they wouldn't.
Now, my understanding is your understanding, and that is they won't reimburse for what we did prior. The real issue is whether or not the studies themselves will be sufficient so we don't have to redo them.
I have a question about the feasibility. So we won't get an answer from MSBA, it sounds like, on the Crocker Farm issue until we're in. But could we plug this feasibility study into this year's capital plan? It doesn't need to start, say, immediately, but it could, if we plugged it into this year's plan, potentially start slightly earlier once we hear in December before we would need another vote, especially if once we're in, we can get an answer fairly quickly about it, that it would or would not be funded. I'm just thinking timing-wise, is it smart to plug it into this year's fiscal capital plan?
Yeah, that relates to one of the other questions. So again, we're not opposed to the schools aren't opposed to the facility study. So if the council, if we find a way to plug that in and balance everything, I think that's good. But in terms of how we would prioritize it, we wouldn't, for the school facility requests, we wouldn't reduce any of the school facility requests because they're all really for sort of immediate building needs, the roof, the HVAC stuff. So we wouldn't substitute it for anything that's on our proposal already, especially since we reduced it a bit. But if there's a way to add it, again, reworking. I mean, we know there's already $20,000 sort of small surplus at this point that needs to be allocated before we close this out. So there is some wiggle room. It sort of needs a bigger picture discussion about where that would come from.
Yes.
So I guess what I'm really struggling with is, I'm not following the school as close, I mean, probably more than others, but less than I probably should. But so I mean, if it truly speeds us along and we need to make it a priority and it gets us to building schools faster, then, sorry to Paul, we take 40 grand out of the roads like we did last year because it's our priority. But if it's potentially duplicative and doesn't get us the improvement, I mean, I guess I know everyone wants to be like, if we need it, it's going to speed up the process, I say we find money. But if that's not really the case, if it just sounds good, but it's not the reality, then that's a different situation. Then I don't have those answers to make that decision. It'd be cool if I did, because then I could make, then I could advocate one way or the other.
Yeah, and we don't have those answers either. Again, MSP is not going to give a definitive response on whether, yes, you can use that work, or no, you can't, or we'll include it if they won't include it. They're just not going to give us the exact response or the definitive response.
I get that, but to me, there is a difference between if you were starting, let's give an example. I think on the Fort River feasibility study, some of the work that's being done is sort of doing conceptual design for a new Fort River Elementary School. I could imagine the MSBA saying, that stuff you can throw out because we want you to go through your process and we're not interested in, you're not gonna take conceptual design and just sort of translate it into a final design and move yourself forward. On the other hand, I would hope, and I would think we could probably find out based on comparable, districts who've also gone through this kind of stuff, that if you've done some sort of, let's say, engineering analysis or a site analysis, and you're getting just basic engineering data back on building conditions, that some of that analysis you would hope would be able to pour it into accelerating the work you're doing. So in a similar case here, I think if I understood correctly the request around Crocker, it's looking at the previous site analysis and surveys, and then starting to conceptually sketch out where you could put a couple extra classrooms and some rooms here and there, without getting down to the level of any kind of actual really design proposal. And I'm just trying to figure out whether we could even find the question out, not about whether or not you're going to guarantee that we can use this going forward, which I get they're not going to say as a matter of protocol, but more, are there other examples of districts that have been able to use sort of basic underlying analysis to inform their work? Because part of me would say, when you start these projects, presumably they're going to take the original geotechnical surveys that were done back in Wildwood and Fall River were constructed, right? So that's previous survey work that's being incorporated into the work you're doing. You're obviously doing, you know what I'm getting at? Like, you already have a body of work. Every district has a body of work that you're incorporating into the work you're doing to learn something. You're never starting purely from scratch in a literal sense.
Yeah, again, not opposed to the project. And I think you probably, and maybe, she left. I was gonna say maybe the requester could give a little more.
I'm here.
I'm sorry.
No. Oh, was she here? I didn't see her.
Maybe Tony can speak to it. You probably do have to get into a little bit of the design piece of it, because some of it is looking at the renovation piece of it, of Crocker Farm, and the impact of making the gym bigger, and the impact of making the library bigger, things like that, which I think in order to really cost estimate, you have to have some sort of baseline design of what that would look like. Is that your understanding too?
May I?